Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Magic and Miracles, where you learn how to be the magician of your life. My name is Anna, and I'm your most favorite manifestation coach under the sun because there's no such coaching like my coaching, and nobody spends as much time with and on their clients like I do. True story. The two packages that I coach with, the links are below. I specifically posted them in the description box so it's easier for you to check them out. The difference is simple. One is I coach in audio exchange, the other one I coach in phone sessions. Okay. And in between, you're working on assignments that I will give you at the end of each interaction with me. We always start with your childhood, going into adolescence, all the way up until today, because I really want to understand your belief system, how you grew up, your background, the kinds of experiences that you've had, etc. So this process usually takes me, on average, with each person for 2 to 3 months at a time. Now, this is, required from each in order to be able to, cover your history. That takes me a few weeks at least, 2 to 3 weeks minimum. Okay, because we go back and forth. I'm asking a lot of questions in my coaching, and then and only then we go into certain exercises like beliefs, forgiveness, etc., what have you, and then we get to manifestation. I don't start with manifestation because I think that's not acknowledging the person who is in coaching with you. That's not acknowledging the residue of maybe resentment, anger, and forgiveness that the person still has. And so I really need to cover this before I get to manifestation. This is how it's supposed to be done by everybody. If I do say so myself, this is how it's done properly, provided the person in the coaching follows along and takes instructions. Now, there have been times when somebody stayed with me longer in coaching. But I really want to say this. If it takes you longer with me than 6 months, you really need to kind of like acknowledge what it is that you're insisting on having as your problem. Okay. In other words, you really need to examine what it is that you've just accepted as, a problem that cannot be resolved. Some people really insist on their problems being so real that they cannot overcome them or take any kind of suggestion in order to reform that situation. And that can happen consciously or unconsciously, right? The idea in coaching is that you just completely are prepared to do the work, are open and honest, are really deliberate, ready, coming to work, really, open to suggestions, like I said, and ready to become a different person. Okay. Otherwise, like after 6 months, honestly, I don't want to see your face. It's kind of like the same thing over and over again. And if you're insisting on having these problems, or if you're not paying attention to what I'm saying to you, then, it's not really the coach's issue. You're just not paying attention to what I'm saying to you. And you really need to kind of like focus is what it is. People who work well with me come prepared, come deliberate, come thirsty for a change. Okay, if you think this is like therapy, that you're going to come in and just tell me your problems and then we don't have to do anything about it, you know what? Do yourself a favor and go into therapy. Seriously though. I work really hard with people. I work really hard on people. And honestly, I just I have this expectation of people to really work hard on themselves. I cannot do your push-ups for you. Now, parenthesis here, for those who cannot, quote unquote, afford my coaching, and I say quote unquote not to mock anybody, but to say, temporarily in this parallel reality that you occupy, you cannot afford it. I have created this audiobook for you that consists of 6 chapters. I was really deliberate about it, and I literally recorded this channeled audiobook in 3 days. It was crazy how I did it, okay? it just came out of me, and it was just nonstop. And as you know, I shared this with you, when I channel, sometimes I don't remember what I actually said. I need to go back and re-listen to it, and I just re-listened to all the 6 chapters, more or less, most important parts of it, which are all of it actually. But I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned everything I wanted to say, and I did. And may I tell you, it's a work of art. So if you cannot come into coaching with me, this is for you. Okay, give this gift to yourself for New Year's, for Christmas, for Hanukkah, what have you. And it also comes with 2 hours at the end of listening to it and taking your notes, of conversation with me to answer your questions. So I basically covered, it's a amalgamation essentially of exercises and everything you need to be able to understand about how to create your reality. The only thing, obviously, I cannot achieve in this package is know your history. But you know your history, and again, you have the opportunity to ask me questions live. You just need to schedule those 2 phone calls. It's 1 phone call and then another one. We don't combine 2 hours, because I want you to have the opportunity to digest some things and then come back and, have more questions. All right. So the link is below again, and to my coaching packages as well. And if you have any comments or questions before booking, please email me directly. And that's about it. The email is below as well. And of course, at some point, I'll literally write a book. I'm extremely busy with a lot of things, but the actual book, I have the manuscript. I keep working on it. I just wanted for people to have something before my actual book. But this is an extremely good guide, if I do say so myself. You will literally benefit from it tremendously. Okay. The subject of today is how to manifest different realities. Okay. So I wasn't going to record this today, but I think I better, because I'm going to have a couple of really busy days with my coaching and other businesses. And I think this is really important, because I think even with SPs, with money, with anything at all, essentially, but in particular with SPs, with people, interacting with people, different versions of people, it's really hard for people to compute sometimes what it really means to abandon the old reality, the old version, and really start creating the new reality, the new version of events or people. And so for me personally, the way that I teach, and I only can teach you what I know works for sure, not only for me, but for people who really follow my guidance, like I say, which is why you're coming into my coaching, which is why you're even listening to this. Okay, so you have to start with this, entertaining this idea that perhaps your beliefs and your assumptions about the way that this reality works are completely fucking wrong. Okay. And by the way, I tried so hard not to curse in my audiobook, but a couple of fuck and this and shit were there. So it's really me, and not some AI. Although, you know what, when I was channeling that book, I don't know who the fuck I was channeling. It sounded like Margaret Thatcher or somebody. Like, it was not this voice. It was some other kind of voice. I was like, who the fuck is this person? I've never felt this energy, but this energy was just oozing out of me. So it was an experience. After that, I needed to lay down for a couple of hours. After I was done, I literally went to have some champagne and lay down for really lay down, kind of like I cannot move right now. It felt like some kind of energy passed through me. Anyway. And so you really need to start with this premise that your assumptions and beliefs about how reality works is wrong. Why that is, for sure, a fact. Because if the reality that you perceive right now, that you've created, is not pleasing to you, is not what you actually wanted to create, your assumptions must be wrong, because you're not getting what you want. It's a simple equation, okay? And so you need to start with that. Starting to question things that you used to believe before, and starting to implement new kinds of beliefs like the universe is on my side. I'm a child of the universe. I'm blessed. Everything turns out in my favor, even though at the moment it might not seem this way. The interpretation built in, okay, should start with all the circumstances work in my favor. And that change of mindset changes everything. Rather than observing the reality and complaining about it, or even complaining about what happened in the past, start to organize your mind in a way where even that served me to such a degree where without it, I wouldn't be who I am today. Okay, I'm being personal a little bit here, and sometimes I am in my coaching or on my channel. My mother is not a very nice person, and was not a very nice person, but she had taught me a tremendous amount of things that without her I would not have known, like fashion, like really good music, her insisting on me going for a degree in journalism rather than going into continuing acting. All of these things and that I was really pissed off about actually really served me in the end. Well, in the end, I did whatever the fuck I wanted because I came to New York, but parenthesis closed. I don't like her as a person. I don't really care to change her. But I am grateful, and I don't resent her anymore. I did resent her when I was growing up, but I don't resent her anymore for doing any of these things, because that every time that there's so many different ways that throughout my day even that I remember she taught me this, she taught me that, she did this, she did that. Even though, yes, she did a lot of horrible things, but all of these things I would not have known, and I would not have the advantage over so many, different interactions in business, different interactions on the personal scale, etc., if I didn't have this person in my life that I judged this way and that way. And so if you turn around every single relationship, every single circumstance, every single seeming disadvantage or some kind of like situation that really did not serve you to your advantage, you will understand once and for all that this universe is truly magical. This life is truly magical. The idea is to have the magical perspective. Okay. And so manifesting different realities, different versions of people or events or circumstances comes from that stance. You cannot come from being resentful, angry, and judging the circumstances like they were bullshit and create something new. Okay, it's okay not to like somebody, it's okay not to approve of something, but you don't have to carry resentment, you don't have to carry anger, you don't have to carry any kind of like victim mentality, saying, oh, because of you now this is my life is shit, or because of you, I'm stressed out and this. And no, you're stressed out because you're reacting this way, because you're judging this circumstance being against you. Where if you have the mentality, no, oh, you're acting this way against me that I don't prefer, wait and see. This too shall serve me. Okay, this too shall serve me. This will, I don't know how right now, maybe even, or maybe you do. This too shall turn around in my favor. The end. And if you're judging the current 3D, the current circumstance or the current version of the person, or the current whatever, if they're blocking you or not talking to you, whatever's going on right now in your life, if you're judging it this way, then the next creation that comes afterwards is surely going to be 100% evident that you've changed realities based on your assumption that this will serve you, rather than judging it as something terrible. The next creation, the next reality that you're going to jump into is going to be confirmation of your assumption, is going to be confirmation that you're going to be abundant, getting new circumstances that will benefit you. In other words, you cannot sit around in pity and consider yourself a victim and create something different. It doesn't exist. If you want to play victim, the universe will allow it for you to do this till the end of motherfucking time. Now, I'm going on the assumption that you don't want that. Okay, the power of a victim is very limited. By definition, if you're playing victim, you don't have any fucking power. And the universe allows for you to play this role because built into that role is limited power. Now, if you're completely in tune with yourself, with your higher self, and you're declaring to the universe, I have all the power in the world, and even though some people may act this way and that way, or have acted this way and that way, I am completely reinterpreting the whole shebang, and I'm interpreting it this way. And therefore, in my reality, okay, they have a different meaning, number one. Number two, I get to go to a parallel timeline or parallel reality that is completely fabulous from here on, okay? If you want to keep judging your SP, be upset with them. I don't care what they've done, okay? Unless they've really been abusive to you. That's the only, exclusion that I obviously make. Physically, verbally, emotionally, that I don't include. Okay, I know that's really difficult to get over. I had to deal with it myself, and I know how hard that really is, especially for a woman. But if they were simply, not simply, but of course, that's really hard as well. But if they were disrespectful, cheated on you, lied to you, misguided you, stop talking to you, this and that, all of this can change. Okay. And also, like I mentioned before in my previous audios, the abusive person can change too. The idea though is I don't think that, in my estimation, that you should want a person like this back in your life for many reasons. And it's your life, obviously, but I'm just here to suggest things, much like in my coaching. And so if you have this idea, if you're insisting on your SP being whatever, abusing drugs or alcohol, being a womanizer, blah, 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 and you're sticking with that story, this story will continue playing out. And you might say, well, this is all I know. Well, start knowing differently. You're the master manifestor and you're creating a new reality. What is the new version like? Right? What is the new circumstance like? Okay, again, you're not committed to any reality permanently. That's an illusion. That's a lie. It's worse than an illusion. It's a lie. You're not. At any moment in time, you can change the parallel reality in which you reside. And all of a sudden, you might get a call from this SP, and they're confessing their love to you and apologizing to you, top to bottom, crawling on the floor, whatever they have to do to deserve your love back. And you cannot recognize this person. What happened? You allowed yourself to believe, to first of all, discard the old version and completely not be triggered by it, not be angry about it, not be resentful about it, just completely let it go. True forgiveness is when you're no longer triggered by anything that this person has done. Doesn't evoke any reaction out of you. If you're still angry, if you're still resentful, if there's like deep anger inside of you and you're like, but they have done this. Yes, you're right. This was shitty. Yes. Do you want to keep talking about it? Yeah. Because we can talk about it till the cows come home. But what is it you ultimately want? You want somebody different. Okay, so then that's the parallel reality that you marry. That's the version that you bring in. What has changed? That they're faithful and loyal. Holy shit, bananas. That's amazing. Parenthesis here. If it's amazing for you that somebody can be faithful and loyal towards you, that's another situation to examine. If it's amazing to you that they can be affectionate and generous with you and nice to you, that's another situation to examine because that your psyche is producing that. Okay? This is why I deliberately spend like the first month and a half sometimes in coaching, like digging into person's past, sometimes 2 months if it's like something extensive. What happened, how many incidents, this, that, and the other, because all of this formed your expectation, formed your psyche. Really important to examine. Really, really, really important. Not only examine, by the way, not only talk about it, because it may resemble like some kind of a therapy session where it's like, okay, we'll talk about it. No, it's not just talking about it. It's releasing these emotions and reinterpreting the story. When you start reinterpreting the story, just like what I just described, then you have a new perspective and it's easy to let go and forgive. And so sticking to the new version of events, to the new version of your SP is ultimately the goal. Just as you diehard a proponent, or not a proponent, kind of like a storyteller of your old version right now, or maybe so, a diehard interpreter of the circumstances based on your past. In the same manner, you should become the person who interprets things in their favor, who interprets the new interprets the SP or any circumstance in a new way. Meaning, I know the circumstances have changed, I know this person has changed, and even though nothing shows you this on the outside, you keep insisting. Because this is the time that it takes you, first of all, yes, you're jumping into the parallel reality that is instant. But the 3D, okay, it's a little bit kind of like there is a delay. It takes a little bit of reshifting to do before you clearly see the new program that's going to be playing in your life now. And the delay really serves you because if you change your mind, you can adjust some things, all right? I mean, it would be a little bit nutty if you changed your mind and started, discussing having a new version of SP in your mind, or discussing a new version of your career or whatever it is that you are working on right now, and suddenly poof, it's here. Okay, some people are freaked out by that, or maybe freaked out. It's a little bit too soon. I myself, I have this agreement with my reality where like instant manifestations are okay. I'm not freaked out by that anymore. I used to be, where it's like I just said something and all of a sudden somebody calls me and this and that. I'm like, oh my God, is this really real? But now this is just my reality. I don't think in other terms anymore. But for some people, it could be, a little bit kind of like strange. Like some of the people in my coaching, when they manifest something really quick, they say, Anna, should I really go for it? Should I really take this SP, or should I really take this job, or should I accept this money? They start interpreting things based on their old belief system, and the manifestation goes away. Because the manifestation says, well, okay, you don't want me. You ultimately seem hesitant, so off I go. Ciao. So you really need to, first of all, you need to understand that you need to make peace with things being okay now, with this person being this way, not any other way, that it's okay to manifest instantly, quasi-instantly. And so you can have your own agreements with your universe. I'll manifest this in a couple of days, or I'll manifest this today if you're ready to really receive it. But the universe, like when people say, I don't know, why can't I manifest? That's a really strange question to me at the end of the day, because you're always manifesting. And so the question, it's always about asking the right question. And so the question shouldn't be, why can't I manifest? Is am I thinking in opposition of my desire currently? That it completely invalidates it, makes it null. Because if you have nothing standing in the way of your desire, the manifestation is instantaneous, like I said. But certain people, different agreements with the universe. Maybe you might be saying, it would freak me out to get $1 million like by tomorrow morning in my account. And so it doesn't come. But so you design your reality how you want to. In the case of SP, many of you are not manifesting the new version, the new kind of version of SP, or new kind of version of relationship, is because you don't believe it can happen. You don't believe that this version is totally present in the universe right now. You just don't buy into that. And so the universe obeys you once again and says, okay, no problem, I will not manifest it. We'll just stick with the jerky version. Because that's what you can accept and that's what you say yes to. So it's up to you, you see, to commit yourself to these versions of SP, versions of reality, and completely marry them, fuse with them. No other reality other than this, no other version of events other than this, no other version of SP other than this. This is what I want. The end. No negotiations. Everything is, for me and in my favor. And what's so funny? Once you really understand that the universe is on your side, that nobody is out there like floating around like your SP making decisions for themselves, how to be and what to be. True story, parenthesis here. Nobody's imposing any circumstances onto you. You're creating these circumstances. Again, this is probably a lot to swallow for somebody who's just coming into the knowledge of this, but get used to it. Well, yeah, this is the only way to live. Then you get to the point where you just sort of contemplate something and you say, oh, it would be really nice if I received, I don't know, let's just say $1 million, and poof, here it is. But you see, it's kind of like almost like a dream, daydream, a suggestion of sorts. It's like, oh, that would be nice. And you feel into this reality and it feels almost like familiar. I don't know how to describe it. It's like, it feels like you've already been there in that reality. Nothing is unknown to you. I can go into another kind of like hour about this. And you sort of have to like listen to my audiobook and really study that. That's just for people with coaching necessities. But when I write my actual book, you are a multidimensional being who's already been in every fucking reality that you want to manifest. So nothing is off limits if you just kind of work on the human part of it, where the human mind does not buy into certain things. Meanwhile, you are like living out parallel worlds, parallel realities. When you go to sleep and you dream of something, that's you living out a parallel life. Okay, different lives. Like in my dreams, sometimes I'm a man. I look like an alien, or I look like I'm old, I'm young, I'm a baby, I'm all these different things. Okay, some of them are similar to what I experienced, and some of them are completely not. Okay, I had this vision one time, really quick here. It was like a lucid dream almost, because I was in control of it, where I was a woman in like 1956 or something, and I saw the newspaper on the table that read, 1956, like something like January 10, 1956 or something. And I looked at it and I was like, holy shit, bananas, I'm in 1956. I was aware that I wasn't supposed to be there. And so you've lived everything. So every reality is familiar to you. You need to just allow yourself to drop this belief that you can go there. And so whatever resonates within this realm, within this life, within this reality. And I use this term loosely, reality meaning this timeline, okay, if you will, this existence of yours on earth. You have the ability to tap into it. Okay, $1 million. If I gave you $1 million, how would you feel? Go for it. Okay, that's what that reality feels like. If your SP was this way and that way, what would that reality feel like? Okay, there you go. That's the feeling. So it's not unknown to you. You know exactly how to create it, how to step into the portal of that reality. And finally, the idea is to really decide. Without decisions, we don't really have anything. Without decisions, we don't have any vision. And, we really need to have a vision of the kind of changes that we need to have or want to have in our reality. And that's actually how you manifest different realities. Thank you very much for listening. All the information from me is below. Until next time. Ciao, ciao.